Alright, so Lloyd's just told us there's two key reasons to why the program works. Number one is discipline, and number two is the body and the stomach receptors and how the body works. Talk us through that, Lloyd.
So what we found was that if you take a normal sized stomach, it's about this big. But we can stretch that stomach to be huge, to be able to accept a lot of food in it, if we just work at it week and week and year, in and out. And that's why some people can just eat more than others at a meal sitting. For instance, what I found is we had this very sad situation where a patient of mine had been having a concussion on 2 occasions, and this very high functioning nurse actually developed a vomiting syndrome because of the concussions. And it got to the point where she couldn't tolerate any food at all. And in desperation, her parents brought her home from the specialty centers, and they'd done every test there was. So we knew there wasn't something ominous in her stomach causing it, like a cancer or something like that. So without knowing exactly what to do, and I'm not a stomach specialist, but I said, let's try a couple of things. We put a nasogastric tube down. That goes through the nose and into the stomach, and it stayed there for 4 days. And in that nasogastric tube, we gave her, and I personally syringed 5 cc's, which is 5 mils of fluid into her stomach. And within 4 cc's of that, she started to panic as she felt that filling her stomach up. Now that and the background of my previous experience with surgical gastroplasty treatment, I knew that her sensory receptors of her stomach were so sensitive to any extension of the stomach size that she started to feel that full feeling. So essentially, because her stomach had been empty for so long, it had shrunk to such a low capacity that it couldn't even accept 5 cc's. The treatment for her was really quite straightforward. Over a few days, we had her syringe her stomach with fluid and gradually stretch that up over 4 days and overcome that anxiety that came as her stomach receptors stretched. Gradually, she was able to move on from fluid to more and more things until she could tolerate swallowing food and expanding her stomach that way. That taught us a great lesson, that the stomach has this incredible capacity to expand when we fill it too much, too often, for too long, and to shrink back to a very small size and then be incapable of accepting larger volumes. So our normal anatomy tells us when we're full. So when we've overeaten for a long time, Trev, we lose that sensitivity to those receptors in our stomach. They're called stretch receptors. And therefore we're numb to it. And our brain says, no, you're not full. Eat, keep eating, because I can take more. I can take more. You got more? I got more. I got more. Give me more. Give me more. And we get that. And then our cravings sink in with our brain saying, I like that food right there. That makes me feel real good. And that's one of the big problems of obesity.
So the program, we are eating reduced protein sizes. Our meals are smaller in terms of our protein and the vegetable content that we eat with that. So what's that doing to our body?
Well, what's so fantastic about the program is you have a set amount of not just the calories in the food that are prescribed, but you have a volume in them. So you're still getting some bulk, which allows you to feel like you've eaten. Some of the other programs that are out there in the world, you eat such a pitiful amount, you feel constantly like you're starving because there's no actual food in what you're eating. Whereas what this program does is it gives you whole foods, which are healthy. They're normally healthy foods. It's not like prepared things that you have to buy special. It's good foods that are natural, whole foods. And that's what we really should be going to in this day and age of processed foods. So there's substance to it and there's nutrients in it. Then the discipline is another thing that we talked about earlier. Having discipline restored to your life and saying, I will not eat that simply because it's a rule.
Awesome. You know what? I'm going to chop you there and we're going to talk about discipline in our next video.
All right.
Come and watch that one because that's a real key part of the program that we're talking about. Modi ora.